Welcome everyone. This is John Gordon with Growing with Gordon, and today's discussion I'm going to take a quick shift towards home equity. I'm going to dive deeper into what that means and how a lot of homeowners who've owned their home for 5+ years, sometimes even less, have this hidden treasure that they may not know truly exists. So, as I like to call it, equity to empowerment. How smart homeowners grow wealth through real estate. So right now, millions of homeowners are sitting on record levels of equity. So when you purchased your home, you put a down payment, and those monthly mortgage payments and interest payments that you've been making do add up over time. Plus, dependent upon areas and really how real estate is a long-term strategy plan, that appreciation does grow year over year, and you don't truly see it after a few years. So, and most, as I said, don't really realize it. And so that equity isn't just a number on paper, it's an opportunity. So if you want to do home renovations to increase the value, let's say you've always wanted to gut the kitchen and put in what you want, or what a lot of friends of mine and colleagues and family do is they buy investment properties. Or if you truly want to dive deeper into financial freedom, it's a way to do that as well. So we're going to explore all those different routes and different products loan options. And really it comes down to talking to your go-to mortgage broker or lender. So a crazy stat is that the average U.S. homeowner has over $200,000 in tappable equity. And so what does that mean exactly? Basically, it's what you can borrow against. So it's like turning your house. Now, this can be a trigger word, but turn your house into a credit card. So if used properly, you can really do a lot with that without over leveraging yourself. So, for example, a friend of mine, it was a family home, so they'd lived there for quite a while. And they had almost paid off the house. To be safe, they wanted to at least keep 50% ownership or 50% equity. And so different lending institutions, again, lenders have different requirements, but you can borrow up to 80%. So they had 30% equity that they used to then purchase 2 rental properties, a vacation home, and then do some smaller projects to the house they were living in. So the rental properties were able to basically pay for themselves. You have tenants pay for the mortgage. So that's, again, another play onto creating equity opportunities. Plus a vacation home, purchase a place they might intend to Airbnb it, but they wanted a place that they could travel to with their family to create experiences that are unforgettable. And then smaller projects on their home, renovating the kitchen, renovating the bathroom, where before they just had no idea that they could do this and had been prepping for it for quite a while. So it's really clarity is power is a good way to put it. So home equity comes down to the home's market value minus what you owe on your mortgage. And so as I mentioned earlier, it grows through appreciation and principal pay down, or those monthly mortgage payments that you make every month. And then it's, in my opinion, and what a lot of people think, is one of the most powerful wealth building tools in real estate, but it's dormant unless you leverage it. So how can you leverage this equity in your house, in your current home? So one of my favorite tools that I use is called a home equity line of credit, or a HELOC. So another version of this is a cash out refinance. Another way to do it is a home equity loan. So these are financing options and tools that you can use. So HELOC, let me start there. Flexible, interest only on what you borrow. This is really good for either renovations or short-term projects. So let's say a kitchen remodel is $50,000. You won't pay the contractor the 50 right away. You'll do it in increments. And so the increments that you take out of the HELOC is what you pay interest on. So then over time, you pay that back. A cash out refinance replaces your mortgage with a larger one. But I know that sounds scary, but it gives you a lump sum or a large chunk of money, which is better for bigger investments like rental properties. Just make sure that you have an expert to work with or know what to work on. So listening to this discussion, asking questions will give you that knowledge to make the best decisions or the most calculated decisions you can. And finally, there's a home equity loan, which is a fixed interest, aka predictable payments, and then they are good for projects, rentals, whatnot. So it's the three different options, and there are pros and cons to all of them, and discussing with a mortgage broker or lender just to figure out what experience you want to have, what you're comfortable with. And again, I want to make sure I emphasize this: don't over leverage yourself, because bad investments could be non-productive spending. So I know that really shiny Porsche looks really nice, sounds great, and do you want to spend $80,000 on a Porsche using the money from your home? Because now you'll be paying your mortgage plus this tool, this financing option. Yes, the Porsche will give you a great experience, but the Porsche will not pay these monthly payments. I want to emphasize again, over leveraging basically means borrowing too much and losing flexibility, which causes stress, causes anxiety, then creates poor decisions, and nothing good happens when you're stressed. Not having a clear plan or exit strategy. So what does that mean exactly? Well, exit strategy is pretty simple. You want to make sure that you can make these payments, that you're working enough, that you're bringing in enough income to do this. If you're going towards a rental property approach, checking the numbers, making sure you understand what those monthly mortgage payments will be, what the interest rates are, and what the rent income. And as always, it's good to have an emergency bucket or cash on hand to be able to cover any repairs. So again, do your due diligence before going that route. And then forgetting to set aside reserves for interest rate changes or vacancies. So this is on that point. It's good to have cash reserves or an emergency bucket, because let's say it takes 2 months, 3 months to rent out the property. That's 2 to 3 months of the cash out refinance or the HELOC or the home equity loan, plus the interest payments and the payments you're making on the rental itself. So that's 2 sets of payments plus your mortgage payment. It can add up really quickly. So it's good to do your research, talk to your lender, create a plan, and don't over leverage yourself. So I want to go in specifically to different ways you can use your home equity. So once you've done your research, once you have your exit plan, once you know your strategy and have the different tools or options available, you can, one of my favorites, renovate or upgrade your current home. And so my friend who renovated their kitchen, bathroom, bought 2 rental properties and a vacation home, they really maximized what they could do, and still today they are cash flowing on both rental properties. They have a great vacation home, and I just went by their house the other day and the kitchen's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And so they are happy and everything is working to plan, which is great, and it does happen. So these are very strategic upgrades: kitchens, baths, flooring, energy efficiency. All of these improvements can increase the property value and improve your lifestyle because you have an updated house. So when you increase that property value, that value goes up, which means that's more equity going back to you, that's for you. So there's another story that I have where this is a very creative financing approach that another friend of mine uses, and I'm going to have a whole separate discussion on this, called the BRRRR method, BRRRR. It's where you buy a property, rehab the property, rent it out, refinance, and then repeat. And people say it's not possible to do this. I disagree. I still think it is if you're smart, if you do the research and you know your market. So my friend, he buys properties. This is farther south of where I am specifically, but this is in Richmond. He purchases properties for undervalue, and they need work. They need a lot of work. So he has the teams, the contractors, the whole system in place to do what needs to be done. So he buys these properties, and he's using, and I've mentioned this in other discussions, like a hard money, higher interest rate loan, expensive. Basically, he's renting money at a higher amount, but he knows that he's going to rehab the house quickly, rent it out because he knows the market, and then refinance, which I mentioned this before, you can use one of these tools to refinance your property into a home equity loan or a cash out refinance. So what he's doing is taking that hard money loan, refinancing it into either a DSCR loan or an investor loan, which again, I'll go into on a different discussion. And it's getting out of that 12%, 15%, getting it down into a 7%, 8%, and it's already fully rented. So now he's searching for the next property and using money that he took, and he started this process 8 years ago. And so he currently owns 10 properties that are all turnkey because he renovated all of them, fully rented, all cash flowing, all paid for. And he's been refinancing into loans and just using his own home equity line of credit and he's using his equity over and over and over and over and over again to create his own portfolio, which will then in turn give him that financial freedom that we are all striving for. That's why we're on this show. That's why we're on this podcast. That's why we're learning and pushing and doing everything we can to get out of the race. It's such a cool story. I hopefully will have him on this talk show just to go through the mistakes that he's made. And good friend, mentor, it's good to have those people in your circle. So I want to touch base a little more, kind of a 30,000 foot view. When you're purchasing an investment property, you want to use your home's equity as a down payment on a rental or flip. So for example, let's say you have $100,000 in equity and can buy a $400,000 investment property with financing. So you want to create cash flow and appreciation in a second property. So now your money is working in two places at once. And as I hinted before, you can use that BRRRR method or a simple long-term rental. But in this case, you can use that BRRRR method to pull your equity out, get it into a rental loan, and then purchase another property and another one and another one and another one. So it's working for you and you are maximizing its true potential. And then I also want to touch base on, you don't have to do projects. You don't have to buy rental properties. Let's say you have a lot of debt, college loans, credit cards. We all go through those times in our life that you just can't really save, but you still have this equity sitting in your property that you can use to your advantage. So sometimes equity can help lower overall monthly expenses by consolidating high interest debt, credit cards, student loans, etc., etc. And then in turn, I know you're using money to pay off debt or consolidate, but that will free up monthly cash flow, which then you can invest strategically rather than pay down bad debt. Trust me, we've all been there, and it's a cool strategy to you take a step back to then make 2 steps forward. So really, to wrap it up, is your home equity isn't just a number, it's a launch pad. It's a way to launch you into a positive momentum while you're working, raising a family, or just want to dip your toes into the real estate investment market. So if you want to upgrade your current home, invest in another, or build a portfolio, the key is using it strategically. Don't let that potential slide idle. So if you'd like to know more about how much equity you actually have, or have questions around that, or how you could use it, just reach out. My team and I can do a quick equity analysis and help you map out the smartest strategy for your goals. And on that note, I look forward to the next discussion in our real estate investment journey.